if you don't know, building a house is one animal, but designing one from scratch, everything we do is custom.
It was just really fun to walk through the process, see them get to pick all of their finishes that they wanted. It was really rewarding for them to be like, you were so helpful and we really appreciate everything you did to like help us get this dream achieved. So that was like my first win. And it was just so rewarding. It just makes such a difference to have someone in your corner pushing you and challenging you, and they just want to see you succeed.
Good morning, Lexi.
Good morning.
It's so fun to have you here. So let's take a second and just kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do now with the company.
Yeah, so I'm Lexi. I started on as the office admin, receptionist type role, and I moved into what is now called the selections manager role. So I take clients basically from the time you onboard to the time you get your contract. So I'm with you pretty much every step of the way, from designing your floor plan to picking out your finishes to putting it all together in a proposal where you can see your final pricing.
Yeah. So and I'm pumped about this because this is something we've been like continuously working on for over a year. Is how can we A, improve the process, B, speed up the process, and then C, make room for all the new business that continues to walk through the doors. And so we started working on this idea of how we could break apart that sales journey, because our salespeople were just overwhelmed with doing all of the things. And so we had this idea. I remember me and Mike sitting down at a table and him being like, I want to build a selections management role. And I was like, Lexi. And so I was super pumped. I was like, I'm not going to tell her to do it, but you need to go talk to her about it. And I'm 99% confident that Lexi will say yes, and she will crush this. And so you were kind of the first one put in that role in our Duncan headquartered office. And
I was the guinea pig.
You were the guinea pig. So talk a little bit for those of you that don't know, like when you onboard with the Barndo Co., which is kind of like our first step, baby step, that we just help people because we encounter so many people that they want a Barndo. They have absolutely no idea what it looks like. It's a different process than just going and building just any, cookie cutter type home. And so many people just want to know, and we want to know, is this what your family needs, right? Is it going to meet everything you want? Because most of the time they've never seen one,
Right.
They've seen them online, but they've never even been in one. And so kind of like you have those first conversations with our sales team, and they're super knowledgeable to answer those questions and get you kind of the general information. And then you take that first step of onboard, and there's several different ways you can get started with onboard depending on the product and how you want to go about it. But then literally now, once you're an onboarded client, the next step is...
The next step is design. So that's when you'll onboard, I'll give you a call and congratulate you because that's a really big deal and we're super excited to have you. And then I'll set up a meeting with our design team, our draftsmen, and we'll do a virtual meeting with them where we will just kind of go over all of your wants and needs for your floor plan. And he will create a preliminary layout just from that meeting. And we go from there with your floor plan.
That's awesome. And then that's kind of like that first step where you're there to kind of facilitate that moment. But the draft team, the design team's doing most of the heavy lifting in that scenario.
Right.
Then they roll out that set of preliminary plans for the client. And then that's when the fun happens, right?
Yes, we can do a lot with your preliminary plans. We can go ahead and start looking at your site prep cost and looking at your selections at that point. We will schedule your spec meeting from there, and that's where you'll come in and just pick all of your finishes, and we'll go over some upgrades, what are standards, things like that. And we can do all of that just with your first set of plans.
Talk a little bit about some of the improvements, because some people have heard us talk about this before, but when we laid this out for you, it wasn't like you took the job and then the next day you started meeting with clients. Like you and I believe Heath, who's kind of in that plan review, and Heath kind of marries the two sides. He's kind of in the purchasing side of things and the plan review side of things, and he manages Builder Trend
Mm-hmm.
and keeps the templates up to date. But you and him sat down and crafted a completely new process to make the experience 100 times better.
Right. So me and Heath created this template where we send it to the client and it shows all of the selections that we have to choose from. So you're not just going into your selections meeting, the one in person, in the dark. You kind of have an idea of what we have to offer. So you can go ahead and start planning and start making your Pinterest boards and just kind of decide what kind of vibe you're going for with that template. And you'll be able to select, like, star your favorites, I guess is a good way to say it. You can star your favorites and just kind of create, like I said, like a Pinterest board type deal to see kind of what you're looking for. And that helps me going into the selections meeting because I can see what you're picking. So I can go ahead and pull things that I think you would like. And it just helps really prepare for that selections meeting and make it a super exciting and fun time.
Yeah, because sometimes there's pictures in that template.
They
but
all have pictures, yes.
Sometimes in person,
yes,
it looks a little different than maybe what the picture showed. Or in person, when you've pre-pulled all that, they walk in and you've got, their kitchen selections laid out on one of our mock kitchens, and they're like, ooh.
Right.
Yeah, ooh, no.
That is not what I was going for. Yeah, which is fine. We have hours for that meeting, like that I set aside. So there's plenty of time to change your mind and just go over everything that you want to go over.
Yeah. And then another really cool thing, because of the improvement to this process, if you don't know, building a house is one animal, but designing one from scratch, and everything we do is custom. Literally every house we build is custom. Whether you are building a plan that we've built before, or you've designed a brand new plan that's specific to your needs, the selections is custom. Like we've built, I don't even know how many maples and cottonwoods at this point. I don't know that we've ever built two exactly the same, because you have so much creative space from the outside, your metal colors and your trim colors and your window colors and the types of porches you're doing, and if you're doing stone wainscoting or porch wraps or there's so many variables just on the outside of the home, and that's the most basic function.
Right.
But when you come inside, it's a lot of things to pick. And I think one of the things that when we set out in the beginning, we didn't just want to be another builder. We wanted to improve the process. And it was a big undertaking to basically create a whole new way of taking people on a custom home building journey with Barndominium. But not just to push people into some pre-selected categories, but also make it simple and make it where on the front end of the process, before the dirt's ever even, the ground's been broken, everything in your home has been decided. Now, of course, along the process, you can change things, but we tried our best to eliminate the need for change orders, and that does two things. One is it manages your costs, because when we give you a price, it's locked, it's fixed rate. We're not charging you a cost plus. There's not a bunch of material variables in there. We're not building a budget and hoping and praying that we stay on that budget and then have some big lying contingency on the backside. No, we're giving you turnkey pricing.
Right.
And so we really want to value that and take a lot of time to consider that. And so, yes, it takes a little bit longer to get started with us, but when you do get started with us, most of that is done. So when that team shows up to start building, they can build. And as a result of doing it this way, because we created this from scratch. It wasn't something that we just, we saw it and we copied it. We just realized that hey, the amount of custom work we're doing with an entirely new building process for most of the places we were building in, it was taking us a year to build a house. And now that's whittled down to within 6 months. And we've had some go from permit to door keys in 100 days, And now don't take that to the bank. That 6 months is the goal, but it's literally, we've doubled the speed and efficiency of which we can build. And it's also protected and kept it efficient on the pricing, because we're not walking into it and then saying, all right, Bob and Mary, we're going to start your bathroom next week. You need to go down here to this showroom and pick out what toilets you want and stuff like that. And you've got some preset budget numbers and you're trying to stay in that. And then you're in the showroom and then you see this thing and it's kind of live action. So you end up spending, 10 extra thousand on your bathroom and then 20 extra thousand on your kitchen. And then you do your door hardware and you spend a little extra there. And then you go back and look at it and you're at $100,000 over budget and you're doing it live time in the build. And there's really nothing you can do about it at that point in time. With our process, you could say that to Lexi, like in the showroom, ooh, we really like this, and we really like this, and we really like this. And at the end of that meeting, she's going to give you a preliminary number.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's no, I'm very upfront about pricing. So when you're picking out your selections, I do like to know what your budget is, not because I'm being nosy. It helps me to prepare you for what you can't, or what you may or may not want to spend your money on. So like I will let you know what is an upgrade and what is standard, and I'll let you know the pricing for those things so you can decide if that's something you would want to splurge on. And I've just found that it's really helpful when we're just super upfront with the cost, and people appreciate that from what I've seen.
Yeah, and if you do kind of go overboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the meeting, she's going to give you this like a preliminary within a few percentage points of what it's actually going to be when they go piece all this together and say, here's where we're sitting, Bob and Mary. And you go, oh my gosh. And you can have that panic attack preemptively and we can be proactive versus just sending you out into the field and then you're kind of becoming reactionary to an overspend. And so like you could say, hey, that's not going to work. We got to be 50,000 less. And then you guys can sit there in that meeting and start whittling things away.
Take things off.
To get it there. And you still have complete control over your finishes. So you're not mid-build and you're having to sacrifice somewhere.
Right.
Where you didn't really want to. And it gives you that peace of mind, right?
Right. And no surprises halfway through the build.
And so that's just that in and of itself has completely changed the way that we approach client expectations on the front end.
Yes.
Because look, we learn, and like we never have said, even today, we've never said like we're as good as we're going to get. We're constantly improving, and then we encounter something, right? And you deal with a situation, and rather than just deal with it and then do nothing about it, we take all of that feedback and we go back and we're constantly improving the process. So if you're, the 500th client of Barndo Co., you're having a much better experience than the 400th client, let alone the first 5 clients. But the 1,000th client's going to have a better experience than you did because it's constantly improving across all things. And we're just diving into like this selection side of things. Yes. But talk a little bit about this, because used to, again, we had a team of sales agents who were managing all the initial contacts, right? And just so like you guys know, we're talking anywhere from 800 to 1,000 people wanting to talk to us about Barndos. And you've got a team of salespeople trying to have those conversations to figure out, like, are we a good fit, and trying to get, the onboardings and get people in the process. And simultaneously, they were trying to have these meetings that Lexi's having, sit down with our estimating teams and get prices for custom items and build this whole template out and get pricing and then send it to you and then make changes to meet the budget requirements and then, get you from there over to finance, and from finance to closing, to have your initial pre-construction meeting with your project man. Like, they're trying to manage this whole thing. Now they've been alleviated because we basically cut the responsibility in half, and you have a complete dedicated client experience team through these selection managers that are there to make it a stellar experience every step of the way.
Yes.
And then you had like the first selections meeting, and everybody's like sitting on pins and needles, like, is it going to be as good as we thought it was going to be? And then like
a lot of pressure.
That afternoon, I got a text from Mike, was like, Lexi just did that selections meeting, showed them the proposal. They signed the proposal in the selections meeting, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, because that could have took 90 days prior by going back and forth, between workload and like not having as streamlined of a process that you and Heath created.
Yes. And just having one dedicated person to this process helps to recreate the same experience for every client, and everyone's getting the same, hopefully 5-star experience every time. So I think having just one person designated for that process is going to be really helpful, and I'm really excited for it.
Well, and you pioneered this kind of off of a whim of an idea, and then in January you kind of embarked on this full time. And I think you got started Q4 of last year, but kind of January was the kickoff event for you, and you started boots on the ground in the Duncan market, and then we moved Alicia over to kind of be the director of this new client experience selections and designs department. And then we brought in Lance to take over in the sales side. And so like we really committed to it. And then since then, like you mentioned, we have a U in every single location. And that team has grown exponentially because it's you, Kathy,
Skylar, and Justice.
Yeah.
So our team is awesome. I love them. They're gonna kill it. And whoever hired them, I guess Alicia and Lance, they picked really good ones.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And some of those they're like, well, that's 4 people. I thought you guys had 6 offices. Well, so like in the beginning, I think Justice is covering Greensboro and Dunn, and Kathy's kind of doing Somerville and Conway. But probably in the next 6 months, that won't be true anymore, and there'll be designated people in those offices as well. And we're excited to roll this thing out because we've seen incredible success with it. And
already
in terms of client retention, 5-star client experience, the process is faster, it's more accurate, it's more detailed, and I
more
can't
personal, I think.
Oh, 100%.
That's not a knock on how the agents were doing it before. It's just I have the time set aside to really dive into these clients and see what they want and just give them what they need.
Yeah.
So
this episode is sponsored by the Barndo Co. You can visit us online at thebarndoco.com and get started building your dream Barndominium today. We specialize in build on your lot turnkey Barndominium solutions. We have a whole gallery of plans that you can explore through. You can also go full custom route. You can get in touch with us through the website by filling out the Contact Us form, and one of our Barndo professionals will reach out to you, get your dream started today. What's been your favorite experience so far? Like what's like, we've only been doing it for a few months now, but like what's one that's like in your brain, like this was when I knew that I was in the right place and this was going to work?
Okay. Can I say the client's name?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Garcia family, if y'all are watching this, y'all are my favorite. But they were one of my first ones that I took kind of from the beginning to the end. And they're a younger couple, and they're just trying to like stay within their budget and get what they want at the same time. And it was just really fun for me to kind of relate with them on that, being younger and trying, like, everything's so expensive, and it's hard to hear your parents be like, oh, well, when we were buying a house, it was this, so you should be able to do this. But it was just really fun to walk through the process with the Garcia family and just see them get to pick all of their finishes that they wanted. And just, it was really rewarding for them to be like, you were so helpful, and we really appreciate everything you did to like help us get this dream achieved. So that was like my first win, and it was just so rewarding. And that's when I was like, okay, I really like this. Like, this is my thing, and I want to keep doing it.
That's awesome. Well, let's backtrack from there, because
my worst experience.
No. Like how you got here, like because it's awesome for me to see people come into the organization, really get their feet under them, and then kind of blossom into it. And I tell people this when they come in. I'm like, look, just because you start here doesn't mean this is where you stay.
Right.
Like, I am 100% an advocate of internal promotion and getting the right people. And that, like, I say this to business owners all the time. Like, I don't care so much about qualifications as I care about culture. You get the right person who's the right culture fit, and you'll be amazed at what can happen. Because you kind of came into us just kind of like
very green
college kid looking for some summer work, and then it turned into full-time employment. And then I'll never forget the day I walked in the front door, and you were always one of the first people there, and you were like, I need to talk to you. And I was thinking like, oh boy. And you were like, I feel like I bring more to the table. I'm underutilized, and I really, really, really want to use my expertise in a better position, something where I
Right.
can bring more value to the company. I love it here. I love what we do. I love what we stand for, but I feel like I'm being underutilized. And I was like, I agree with you 100%.
Mhm.
Let's figure out where you fit.
Yep.
And so we kind of had that conversation, and then at the same time that was happening, there was already this chatter of like this new kind of department. And then within like 30 days, I think it just kind of clicked for me of like, I think this is a great opportunity for
Mhm.
Lexi. You guys should talk to Lexi first because she's wanting to
Yeah.
do more, you know, and to see that happen for you
Mhm.
was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Very.
incredible.
Yes. Yeah, that day that I wanted to come in and talk to you, I was like practicing my speech in the car on the way there. I was like praying to God. I was like, if I'm supposed to like be here, please just like give me an opportunity to talk to TJ this morning. So I walk in and I'm like, okay, if it's meant to be, like, give me an opportunity. And as soon as I did that, Haley walked out of TJ's office and I was like, really, right now? Like, I have to go talk to him right now? Okay. So I walk in, I'm like shaking and I'm like, hey, whenever you have like 10 minutes, I'd like to talk to you. And you're like, okay. And then I turned around and walked out and you're like, Lexi, I can talk now. I'm free. So I did tell you that. And I just wanted to be a bigger part of the wins that Barndo was having because I'm so passionate about our company and everything we stand for. And I just wanted to contribute more to the success that we were having. So it was really cool to be given that opportunity to move into this role. And I've just enjoyed it so much. And I just enjoy coming to work every day. So it's been really cool to just learn and grow so much just with the help of my team. Like Nick, our head of production, he never turns away a question from me, and I have a lot. And that's huge for me to just like not be afraid to ask questions and have a team that supports me so much in this growth that I'm having. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, and you're crushing in the new role, but you were crushing previously. So,
Mhm.
like, you know, I know what it's like to wrestle with, like, you know, they're telling me I'm doing great, but I don't feel like I'm fulfilled because I feel like I have so much more to bring to the table
Right.
and get stuck in that. And I think a lot of young people, and I told you this that day, a lot of young people would have never had the conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of people expect there to be an assumed position from someone else that they somehow know and feel how you know and feel, and that's not true.
Yeah.
And so you walked in, and I was like, 90% of people in your position would have never walked in the
Mhm.
door and had this conversation, and you
Yeah.
did, and we're going to figure it out. But even so, in January, you won one of the first year we ever did it, Rocket Award.
Yes.
And so, like, in your mind, you were like, I'm not bringing value. I got these things. Like, you
Mhm.
know, like you were kind of caught up in this story, but the reality was, like, everyone in our company was already like, Lexi's killing it. And the Rocket Awards, you know, I've talked about them a little bit, but the Rocket Awards for me were, because we give away some awards for all kinds of different stuff, from like core values, and like
Mhm.
we have these big core value awards that the company votes on, right? They throw people into the pool to vote, and that's fun. And then we have like a lot of really big, you know, like milestone accomplishment stuff in terms of like, you know, number of units built for
Mhm.
production, number of units sold for sales, and different things like that, like KPI driven stuff. And so this past year, which was our second annual awards event, I was like, I want to create something for people that like embody the spirit of me,
Mhm.
like in this company, because there was a time where all of this stuff was just kind of in my brain, and it started happening because like it was who I was. And now it's fun to sit back and watch the company has taken this identity, and there's people in our company who are exemplifying that, like, and they're just leaned in, bought in. And so I created the Rocket Awards, and I kind of did it by location.
Mhm.
And you won it for our headquarters location, and I think you were kind of like shocked. But like the important thing is from that is like, even when you feel like you're not bringing a level of value, the people around you would disagree.
Mhm.
Now, I agree. You definitely bring more value to the table. Now, you help build something that was an idea we had, and you expedited it
Mhm.
by, you know, sinking your teeth in it and working on it, and kind of building it from scratch. And, you know, again, that goes back to who you are. Like, that's a tough thing to do. It's hard to find people who can even think that way. And the fact that we had someone just sitting in our company who could take that on and help build it, phenomenal. But you already had that. You already had that rocket, culture. If you guys wonder like, what is a rocket? Like, that's just what I do. Like everything. We use Slack for internal communications, everything like that. Like I post rockets on everything. And it kind of ties back to in the beginning, me being a visionary, and like I'm almost so overconfident in my own abilities that I seem crazy. But I have zero doubt in my mind of like if I want to do something, like it's going to happen. And I remember going into rooms talking about Barndo, when Barndo was a concept, and they were like, "Hey guys, like it sounds like a rocket ship, but the chances of it actually going to the moon is less than 1%. Most of the time, it's either going to fail to launch or it's going to blow up shortly after." And that was kind of deflating. That was like it was challenging to a guy like me, but I from the perspective of like, no, we're going there. And so like when this thing took off, I used the rocket as a reminder of how difficult it was, and how many people told me like, you're setting yourself up for failure. This isn't going to work exactly how you think. I think you're dreaming a little bigger than what you can achieve. And that's not true. And I think the world needs more people who, walk in the morning and they're literally twitching in their seat because they got this thing that they got to get out and go have this conversation, and you don't know what it's going to turn into, but it changed your life, and as a result, it changed ours. And so it kind of boils down to that. So like it's fun for me, like regardless of all the Barndo accomplishments, like any awards that we win, or any like the amount of success we have and the number of builds we do and the families we build for, they're great. But the biggest rewards for me are the people that show up every single day, and I get to see that like it's not words on a paper. We literally believe this. We do operate this way. We get it wrong sometimes, but at the core, we are who we say we are, and we do what we say we do. And I get to see people have these wins, and you're one of those inside the company for me, to where like it's bigger than Barndo's. And I say this all the time, like everything here is bigger than Barndo's. Barndo's the vehicle. Barndo is the product. But the culture of Barndo Co. is so beyond just that product. And we bring a high level of integrity to everything, and we really want people to win, and that's in the company, employees, vendor partners, things like that, but also clients. But mostly for me, I love people, and I love having the opportunity to lead people and challenge people. And, I'm sure you felt challenged to step up, and you did. And most people don't. So that's, for me, that's the greatest win in the world, right?
Yeah, I was just so honored to receive the Rocket Award, and then to go up on stage, receive it, and then look out and see my whole company cheering me on. Like nobody's got their arms crossed, like wishing they had won the award instead. Like it was just like such a high to see everyone supporting me, because like you said, like I felt like I was doing good, but I was like, I don't know if people around me think I should be doing better or what. So it was just really a great night to receive that award and to see everyone just happy for me. So that's just our culture, though. Like, and if you're not representing the culture, then you don't get to stay. And I just think that y'all following through with that is just huge.
Silent killer, right? Like she knew she wanted to do something bigger, and you wanted, like, sales is where you thought you would be. And who knows, right? Maybe one day.
I don't like being told no, so that was not fun. That didn't last too long.
But silently, you went and got your real estate license.
Yes.
And like one day there was just like this picture post up like, pass, I'm now a licensed realtor. And I was like, what? Yeah. And it like, you did the work. You had the idea. You did all the work, like prerequisite work. And then you had the conversation. And because of that, you are who you say you are, right? And you do what you say you're going to do. And like, it wasn't a situation where it was like, I just feel like I need more, and you came in and kind of demanded it, and then we did it. No, you did the work. You did the necessary things so that if we said yes, you're ready to go. you're now the qualified person to do this thing. And like, and I think we live in a lot of an instant gratification society, especially with young people. And so like, I love hiring young people, like, because I think a lot of times you get dismissed. And then when you get an environment where you have someone who looks at you and treats you as if you've been in this industry for 45 years, and believes in you, like anything that people come to me with, I'm like, yes, I believe you could do that. Yeah. If I don't, I will tell you, like, I think you're missing it. I think you maybe could do something, but I think you may be missing the mark here because this doesn't feel like your personality. But if you do that and like you feel that in a company that someone actually believes it, it's amazing what you can do. But like, it's a two-way street. I can't believe enough on my own for you to take action. But when those two things meet, man, big things happen. And so it's just fun. Like,
I totally agree. Yeah, just to have like you and Ross pour into me and like everyone in our company so much. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass, like I'm not trying to get a raise over here, but it really does. It just makes such a difference to have someone in your corner pushing you and challenging you, and they just want to see you succeed. And that just, you don't have that at a lot of companies, I don't think, just from people, from what I've heard. This is my first like real job, so I don't know. But from what I've heard, that's not the case a lot of the times. And a lot of people don't enjoy going to work every day. And I really do. And that's just, I didn't think that was something that was like attainable because everybody hates their job. But it's just fun to be able to come into work and actually enjoy what you do. And that's all because of what TJ and Ross pour into us. And it just makes a big difference.
That's awesome. Well, and we become who we are because then you guys pour into the clients. Like, you know, just watching you, how you talk about the personal experience and the way you handle it and all that, it's like you own it. And so, yeah, if you're on the fence about building with us, or you just onboarded with us, or you got a call coming up to have this conversation with us, you're in for a treat, right? And so, like Lexi's in our upstate headquarter office, Justice is up in Greensboro and Dunn, Skylar's in our Knoxville office, Kathy's in our Conway, South Carolina, and our Somerville, the new Nexton Square location. You are walking into the best it's ever been, and it's only getting better. And I've said that so many times on this podcast, but like we live it. Like, there's never a moment. I don't know that we go more than 2 weeks at a time without having lists of things that we want to improve. And it's 90% the customer experience. It's the customer's experience all the time, and like how we can do things to make the process easier and better. And we're just vested in that. We don't, Barndos are cool, and I feel like we build the best one on the marketplace. But when it comes down to the experience and, from start to finish, from a conceptual idea, and you fill out that form and you have a phone call to ask a few preliminary questions and you get started, to be able to walk into the doors of a place where we can take you from that moment. You can sit down with our design team, design your Barndo, walk into one of our showrooms that we've built and conveniently located them so that you can get to them easily, and see, touch, feel the things that you're trying to put in there. Set up a tour to go look at some other barns that have been built. Like, we want to make it as easy and efficient as possible. And I feel like we're the best. But we're not satisfied. Like, we're constantly looking to improve it and raise the bar even more. And I don't say that we're the best from an arrogance. I say the best because I know the work that's went into the process that we have. It's possible because we have brilliant people in the company, who champion things. And that's why I was excited to get you on the show. And I promise you guys, like, you see how well-spoken she is? Like, she was like, I can't do this podcast.
Shaking.
and you came in here, you knocked it out of the park. Like, why? Because you're confident. You know what you're talking about. And like I say, you help craft this whole new department in the company to make everyone's experience that much better. That much better.
Yeah, because I truly do care about the clients, because I just recently, me and my fiance just closed on our own house, and it's just such a big deal. It's such a big purchase and milestone, and it means a lot. And it's not just buying a car. Like, this is your home. And I really take that into consideration when I'm speaking with each client. And I want to see y'all win. I want to see the client win. So I really do everything that I can to make that experience a 5-star experience for the client.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you came and got to share
Me
this.
too. I've been so
The world needs
nervous,
to see
but
some Lexi, right? Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. So thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure. And hopefully you unlock something in some young person somewhere that says, hey, you know what? I've been wrestling with this. I'm gonna do what's necessary, and I'm gonna go have this conversation.
I hope so.
So that I can step into something. And likewise, hopefully some clients saw you and they see what we see, and they're now extremely confident that when they walk in for that selections meeting and when they get that introductory call with you once they onboard, that they feel confident that they've got a real one who's passionate about seeing them win and seeing their dream turn to reality. I love it. Like, there's so many hidden gems inside of our company. Like,
That's for sure.
you know, is getting them here as an opportunity, as a little window in to what makes this place great. It is not because of me and Ross. It's 100% because of people like Lexi and the people of our team that go the extra mile to make this thing possible. So, if you're on the fence, go to thebarndoco.com, click the contact form, come in, have a conversation, get onboarded, and
Come see me.
that's it. Thank you, Lexi.
Thank you.